What is going on, folks? I am Goat and welcome to Warframe. Hi, end of year video. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I want to talk about basically from December 15th of 2021, which everybody knows and that's been playing Warframe since that point in time. That was the release date. Oh yes, that was the release date for the new war. The quest that everybody was looking forward to, right? I mean, the quest that had been just held off and held off and held off, much like the Deviri Paradox, being a different kind of open world. And the new war finally brought in such skepticism and such hope at the same time. Whole lot of cautious optimism. And there has been such mixed feedback. I would say the majority of the community liked the new war. And then there were some that kind of misunderstood the purpose of it. Okay, that's just the truth. Absolutely misunderstood the purpose of it. Basically from the point of, the big question that a lot of people asked was, where was the war, right? Where was the war? Guys, that was the point. I know that I said that before. I have said this before, but that really was a point. I'm sorry, I'm readjusting my mic because that thing is just all up in my business and kind of fucked up. There. Play this like that. There we go. A little bit of noise. Yeah, we like it like that. We dig it. Go for the old phrases there. Gotta love it. So anyway, yeah. I just want to put this out there. I'm shooting this on December 14th. So a couple of weeks before the end of the month. And the reason I'm doing so is because my son is coming in town on leave from the military. So I want to get this done now. So if there's any discrepancy in information as far as hot fixes or anything else that's popped up after I am shooting this video, please just understand that that is shit that is popping up after I've shot the video. So please don't just scrutinize the bejesus out of me for it. So I'm going to be kind of looking over here and then looking over here and kind of looking all over the place. We're going to discuss exactly what in the fucking holy hell has been going on. So just for credential purposes, for people who don't understand or know or have not been viewing this channel for any period of time, I started right dead smack in the middle of like Railjack 1.0, okay, the Imperium update. Specifically, I started towards the tail end of Railjack 1.0, just before it went into Railjack 2.0, before Scarlet Spear released. Obviously, I was a very slow grind at the beginning. I had computer problems, so I was really not deeply entailed into the gameplay, and I was doing multiple games at the time, so my progress was slow going. Not the heavy grind that I went into after my PlayStation output died, and I pretty much just basically stuck to Warframe. And when that actually happened, it was kind of a godsend for me, honestly, because I really was able to just put my focus into such a heavy grind game like Warframe. But I started playing this game on March 4th of 2020, just, you know, so I mean, basically 20 days before update 27.3, which was Scarlet Spear dropped. I wasn't able to participate in the Scarlet Spear just because I just did not have the star chart progress. I didn't have the profile progress, anything. And honestly, looking back at everything that everybody said about Scarlet Spear, it was probably a good thing because it would have probably turned me off of the game at that point in my gameplay, because there was just a lot of weird buggy issues with Scarlet Spear, and the payout versus reward system was a little fucked from what I was reading. So, but the one thing that I know for sure is that Warframe, much like any other, you know, RNG looter shooter, you know, big mass multiplayer online style of game, so a big MMO game, you know, that's like this. It's a very, very grindy game, right? Very grindy game. Some are worse than others. But my first enjoyable update personally was the Deadlock Protocol. Like, that was my first real introduction into a major, like, shift, which was update 28. It was a major sea change update. All the other updates up to that point, I was so low profile, such a low mastery rank in a profile, I didn't even notice updates, man. I didn't even care about updates. But when the Deadlock Protocol hit, that was a complete change of corpus ship tile sets. That was the introduction of Protea, and that was my first introduction to bugs and nerfs and buffs and everything else to Warframes and weapons and so on. And, you know, throughout the realm, like, you know, update 28 was the Deadlock Protocol. Update 29 was the Call of the Heart of Deimos. Update 30 was the Call of Tempestari. Now, there have been updates in between, hotfixes, patches, things like that, you know. And then from Call of Tempestari being update 30, we went all the way to update 31 being the new war. Now, throughout that time, there has been buffs and nerfs and things like that. You know, like, frames that have been released have been, Protea. There has been Zaku, Lavos, Sevagoth. Now, we're not talking primes here. Good God, what other frames? Stynex, Geyer. Well, Geyer came this year. We'll get to her. Stynex came this year, so we'll get to him. But just up to the new war, not counting Caliban, although Caliban did technically release with the new war, so I guess we could count Caliban into everything prior, but Caliban kind of fits into this weird realm of what the hell did we just get into. But we're starting at the new war release. This is the first time that there was, in my personal opinion, overly ambitious updates. I think from, update 31 and beyond up to this point, which doesn't sound like a lot, right? Like, it really doesn't. But I just want to walk you through this, okay? The new war released December 15th of 2020, or of 2021. That was the new war update. And we got hotfix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we got 11 hotfixes that spanned all the way until the very end of January. I want to say. Let's look. Let's look at where this one was. Yeah, on my birthday, actually, January 25th of this year. So the hotfixes pressed, and it was the end of Prime Resurgence, which is really where that hotfix went. That was the primary function, but there was other things that they were fixing in the game to squeeze into that. But the new war, in my opinion, really opened up kind of an ugly can of worms for Warframe and Digital Extremes specifically. And it was overly ambitious updates, trying to cram a whole bunch of shit in one particular update. Now, granted, the new war, lots of content. Just from the gameplay alone, lots of content. An entirely new faction, a complete changeover of 2 of the open worlds as far as their viewpoint, and introduction of another Warframe, more introduction to other things. I mean, just a whole bunch of other things. So you're going to expect some buggy shit going on. And especially with a free-to-play, a free-to-play profile setup like this, I'm not upset with it. Like, it's annoying, yes. I'm not going to say that it's not. I'm not going to say that I haven't had my ranty moments here and there about it. But it's a free-to-play game. It's not like I went and dumped $100 into this game and then I'm constantly having to pay like a monthly fee or an annual fee or some shit to continue to play the game. I don't have to pay anything into this game if I don't want to. So I'm okay with it. But instead of just going to, fix updates or naming it any goddamn thing else they wanted to, then we get into something that has been a theme all of 2022. Echo updates. And the problem is like the Echo updates didn't exactly go as planned in my particular thoughts, okay, because we got the echoes of war. So stuff that they wanted to fix but just couldn't quite squeeze into the new war 11 frickin' hotfixes. So what we got with this was really crazy. Okay. Like, I mean, we got new skins, which is kind of always a thing. Okay. It's really always a thing. We got the new Hildren skin, which I really do think is a great thing. Whole bunch of stuff. Right. And then they squeezed in, like Frost's new augment. That was an amazing fix for Frost. Tenobomb got squeezed in there, like, as always, or, not Tenobomb. My God. Star Days. Sorry, Star Days. They squeeze in a ton of cosmetics and then kind of shuffled into the background a whole bunch of gameplay stuff. They did do some graphical work with the initial Echoes of War release, but then we get into Hotfix 1 and Hotfix 2, and then Hotfix 3, which was the unvaulting, or the vaulting of Banshee and Mirage Prime. Then we got into Hotfix 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now this ran all the way to the span of February 24th. So they literally squeezed 8 hotfixes on the release of the Echoes of War My God, if I could scroll, that would be friggin' amazing. From February 9th to February 24th. 8 hotfixes in that period of time. And it was, I mean to tell you, a metric fuck ton of stuff. And it was truthfully very buggy. Very, very, very unfortunately buggy experience. And then I'll be perfectly honest, like I thought that, you know, it was a fluke because I haven't run into that many game bugs with Warframe throughout my entirety of playing the game. And I hadn't even quite hit the 2-year mark at that point. I've noticed, you know, a few bugs here and there, you know, loading issues, matchmaking issues, stuff like that. But it's a free to play. You kind of expect those kinds of things. But then we go from the Echoes of War update. And of course, you know, Nora, Nightwave, okay? Where there's always an update with Nightwave. Okay, so Echoes of War was 31.1, right? So the Nora update was 31.2. Now, thank God, there was only 2 hotfixes that were squeezed into Nora's update, which was at March 16th, which, what the hell is that? But the big problem behind Nightwave was the fact that it was delayed an entire fucking week, and it really kind of set people off. But there was a whole bunch of crap that was kind of, again, squeezed in. Okay? There was Garuda changes, like pretty hefty Garuda changes. But there was also a whole bunch of augment buffs. You know, there was a whole bunch of new cosmetics, as you always figure. So on and so forth. And then they started having other problems from that point, which led to hotfix 31.2.1. But thankfully, that's all we got. And then we got 31.3, which was the Garuda Prime release. And again, we only got 2 hotfixes out of that. I'm happy with that. Like, again, a couple of hotfixes, upwards of 4, maybe 5, I'm fine with, right? But we got Garuda Prime, and we got the Nagantaka Prime, and we got the Corvus Prime. Again, nothing OP as far as weapons, but Garuda herself being, you know, finally popped as a Prime was a bit of a shock because everybody was expecting Korra Prime. At least most everybody I spoke to was expecting Korra Prime. And Garuda dropped, and we were all kind of like, okay, that's interesting, but okay. So yeah, yep. And then they vaulted Titania, the Corinth Prime, and the Pangolin Prime. Interesting. Love that. Love that. We got the new 9-year anniversary Wisp Dex skin. That was great. They finally changed the damned Initiate pack to the Nova, or the Initiate 2 pack. I still think that the Nidus one was so much better just because Nidus sucks ass farming. And then they ran into bugs with Garuda, like Garuda Prime and base Garuda. Like the first one, this is the one that cracked me up so much when Garuda released. Fixed the inability to use Garuda's talons if a host migration occurred. I had that happen personally. That was so annoying because obviously if you're going to use Garuda's talons, you don't want to have a melee equipped. Well, then you have no fucking melee. So if all you have is a bunch of bullets and you're in a mission where you're just trying to, you know, get through, kill a little and get the hell out, but you're using ammo at the same time. If you're using low ammo capacity weapons, all of a sudden you have no fucking weapons. You're relying very heavily on your abilities. It was an interesting problem. It was funny. Like, I wasn't mad at it, you know, but there was just a few goofy things that happened with the Garuda Prime release. Nothing really to write home about. Again, you know, just a couple of hotfixes. I'm okay with it. And what really became such an interesting situation is when we got to update 31.5. Okay? Update 31.5 was Angels of the Zariman. And boy, you know, I mean to tell you, the Angels of the Zariman, in my personal opinion, was the absolute worst tooth-pulling experience I have experienced with Warframe as of yet when it comes to updates. Because this fucking update was hell. Okay? Like, nothing worked. You'd get stuck in elevators, the game would crash. You were unable to farm void plumes, unable to beat angels. You would just insta-die for no fucking reason. You would bug off the map for no goddamn reason. And this wasn't just on the Zariman, but the Zariman was the buggiest location because it was the newest. But like Deimos had this problem. You would try to go out onto the Cambion Drift and all of a sudden you would just bug out off the map and just fall out while loading into the Cambion Drift from the Necrolisk. You would fall off the map at Cetus going onto the Plains of Eidolon, and the elevator would just perpetually run at Fortuna to where you could never get onto Orb Valis. Like, it was a really weird problem. there was a ton of problems with the Angels of Zariman. Now, the Angels of Zariman did give us the, well, I mean, it gave us the Zariman, right? It gave us the Zariman 10-0. Gave us a few new missions that were kind of like a hodgepodge of other things. You know, you could fight Corpus or Grenier, and you got the Chrysalith, obviously, which is the new area, and then you got your new stupid apartment. If you really enjoy all the cosmetic stuff, that's great. I'm not knocking you, by the way. It's just another place to call home that nobody really wants to use because you don't have any normal gameplay access from this location. So it's like, if I want to go visit the weird, creepy, broken down ship, I have an apartment there, that's great, but I can't do anything from here, so why should I use it? I never go there. I literally parked a bunch of my extra crap in my inventory there just to get it the hell out of my inventory. I shit you not. I've got like this I've got like this Rockettes line of Eidolon articulas just all over the place in the dorm zone there. I shit you not. You know, but we got, you know, let's see, Void Flood, fun mission. I think Void Floods are fine. Got Void Cascade. I think Void Cascade is fine. Got a basic exterminate, nothing crazy there. Okay. Mobile defense, nothing crazy here. But then we get this motherfucker. And personally, I don't know how many people actually like Void Armageddon. I don't. I truthfully don't. I don't know how many people actually like doing the Void Armageddon. It's a really wonky, just goofy ass, endless mission. That's all it is. You go cover a point. It's a triple defense is what it is. You defend this, and then you go and run and defend this, and then you might defend the second thing again, or you might have to go back to the first thing, or sometimes you'll defend the first thing twice and then the other one twice or once. But it's always three rounds of defense, and then wherever the fuck you are is wherever the angel is not, and so then you have to go chase that motherfucker down and then go kill it. Which is only 2 rounds, which is fine, and it's just an endless mission of cycle of this. And, you know, there wasn't really a whole lot of walkthroughs, so there was a lot of, you know, there was a ton of bugs with Void Armageddon, I can tell you that right now. There was a lot of weird, goofy shit that they just kind of didn't fully think through with the Void Cascades. The Void Floods were a little buggy, but honestly, I personally, like everybody was talking about, you know, oh, parkour is going to be amazing with Void Flood. Just go use Titania, there's no point. But see, there was Angels of the Zariman led to this really, really, really horrible situation that led into so much other crap. Okay, now the Angels of the Zariman released on April 27th, and when this dropped, we had such a weird problem throughout one of these hotfixes. I can't remember, it was one of the early ones, but all of a sudden we had stack decay bug issues with the Merciless mods on your primaries and secondaries. Like, you could stack up damage, but if it decayed at all, it wouldn't restack. And this literally went from when this bug first hit all the way through till Tenacon, which is in July. Okay, so all of a sudden primaries and secondaries became a little weak. It was quite interesting, honestly. You like just had to keep your stacks up, otherwise it was a funky ass time. But we got 31.5 all the way through. The final hotfix was the only one that really made the most sense because it was literally just the Zephyr and Chroma Prime vaulting, okay? Or the Zephyr and Chroma Prime vault. And that was hotfix 31.5.10. And then they squeezed it in an extra, which is the first time I had seen it. 31.5.10.1. Because there was a bug with the hotfix. So 10 hotfixes because there were so many problems with the Zariman, right? And that was in April. Okay, so Garuda hit, we had a couple of bugs, no big deal. Angels of the Zariman hit. And oh dear God, the bugs were real. It was so bad that then we got into Echoes of Zariman. Now, the Echoes of Zariman released in June 9th, okay? And this was supposed to be like the mop-up fix for the Angels of the Zariman and to give us a few extra goodies to kind of pacify the masses that were pissed off. Now, there was some good here. There really was. There was more Incarnon weapons. You know, like it's when we finally got the Felarks and we finally got the Inodem and I can't remember the Tonfas off the top of my head. But yeah. I think actually it was just the Felarks and the Inodem. Yeah. But then we also got the Amp Arcanes. We got a couple of Ephemeras. I mean, you know, there was some kind of cool shit. Okay, we got the new ship, the little baby sperm Zariman fighter craft. But then we also got update 31.6 all the way through update 31.6.4. And again, there was a lot of bugs with the Echoes of Zariman, right? There was a lot of bugs with the Echoes of Zariman in just 5 total releases, counting the initial release. There was a lot of bugs, and none of them really got fully resolved until TennoCon, which TennoCon was update for a Prime update, but it was 31.7 because Cora Prime dropped during TennoCon. So, update 31.7, when we all got told Duviri will be in December. Go visit the amphitheater. We've finally done all the server tests. It won't crash. Half the fucking community got thrown out of the fucking game because our games crashed. So half of us were watching Twitch like we did the year before and the year before that because nothing fucking worked. That's fine. But at least we got Cora Prime. And unfortunately, we got Cora Prime that looked really good from the front. And she was like all party up in the front and big old booty head in the back. I mean, like, my goodness. But overall, Cora, much improved. Not mad at this at all. And we only got a couple of hot fixes from this. So it was okay, but we got all this big information about Duviri, and it was very, very exciting times. They showed us all this new open world gameplay, and it was just cool, right? And then we get all the way to Veilbreaker. Now, Veilbreaker has been another super bug. Okay? Veilbreaker was update 32, which is where we sit right now, update 32. My God. There's so much stuff that got dropped in Veilbreaker, just like there was with the New War, just like there was, with these Echoes updates. There's just been cramming a ton of stuff into basically every single update. But see, like Veilbreaker, you get Calls Garrison, you get, the Archon hunts, which Calls Garrison, again, delayed by a fucking week, even though it was part of the fucking release package of basically, here, do this, and then you can go work with, you can go play Call. Well, then there, all of a sudden, you couldn't play Call for like a fucking week. It was so stupid. Like literally in the patch notes, Archon hunts available now, Calls Garrison coming next week. Right? Okay. So an introductory quest, right? New Syndicate, which is Calls Garrison. Break and Armor Garrison assignments, right? That's coming next week, though. New Somachord songs, like, okay. Rank up system coming next week. Earn stock coming next week. Styon X was released as the 50th Warframe. Free to everybody for like a few weeks. That's awesome. New Archon Warframe mods coming next week. By the way, anybody who is able to transmute and start getting Archon mods, fuck you. You can't trade those. You can't do that. Bad. That's our fault, but you can't do it. Whatever. Yeah, it's like they fucked up, but they wanted to basically punish everybody for trying. It was weird. Call customizations coming next week. New weekly missions available now for Archon hunts. Archon hunt missions. That's when a lot of people got really, really mad, because the first thing you hear during, the last dev stream prior to the Veilbreaker release was, be ready because these Archons they are no joke. They're a tanky fight. No, they are not a tanky fight. They are a literally wrapped up massive bubble of fighting a sister of Parvos. Extreme attenuation DPS, reduction damage. Okay. We're talking like you shoot her, you shoot the Archon, takes a bunch of damage. You shoot it again, takes half the damage, and it just continues to cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. So everybody's had to find ways to get the fuck around that. Typically, like the Fenmore with the Vara, or the Kuva Heck with the Vara, or my personal preference is like Nezha with Roar and the Fenmore or the Heck. Either way. And then, of course, you had to try to go into the missions with no companion because you're trying to scan these damn Archons and get information, but you only saw this Archon once every 3 weeks. So getting one scan on this thing wasn't really working, so you'd have to go back into the Archon hunt just to get as many scans as you could, so you could fill it up in the codex and figure out what the hell actually worked against this son of a bitch, because there was really no information whatsoever about the Archons. And then, come to find out, radiation is your best friend with these bitches. But we started messing with deacons, and basically we found out that, Archon defenses suck ass. We've more recently found out that Archon disruptions are highly misunderstood by a broad spectrum of the community, and they become very, very interesting if you do them on public. I will say that. Not mad at anybody for that, but basically it's like a guaranteed boss fight with the Archon shards, also an introduction from the Archon hunts. That's your big payout. But it's a guaranteed boss fight, but played out like a sortie. Certain level here, higher level, obviously. Certain level here for this mission type. Next mission type is this for a certain level. But instead of like the defense being like in an arbitration to where the defensive target or the person that you're guarding, which is now Chipper, following one of the squad members, you get this random drunken NPC that's just roaming the fucking map, and everybody's trying to keep this fucking, this person, which got changed to Chipper, who's now talking crazy Australian mad shit to the enemy. No knock on Aussies, by the way. It's hilarious to listen to. I was running with an Aussie in a pub match doing that defense, and this dude was fucking crying, actually in voice chatting into the squad, dying, saying, oh my god, hearing them try to do this drunken Aussie is amazing, but this is still a bullshit mission. It's like a sortie, but higher level, with a guaranteed boss fight at the end, with a guaranteed payout. But then they say, oh, you've got a really good, you've got a low chance of getting Tau Force shards, but that's what you're aiming for, is Tau Force shards. And like some people to this day, right now, again, December 14th, still don't have a Tau Force shard. I have talked to about 7 of them so far that have not gotten a Tau Force shard. And they've done this thing weekly. Me, myself, I think I have 10 or 11 between both of my profiles. How fair is that, right? I mean, like, there's RNG and then there's butt fucking RNG, and this is the ladder. But then we got the new helmet section or segment for the Archon shards for installation purposes. I mean, we got all this cool stuff with Veilbreaker. And like I said, we got Steinex, that was great. And, when we got, the Angels of Zariman, we got Geyer, which Geyer, whatever you want to call her. She seemed amazing until they literally nerfed her like 30 hours after she came out. Huge nerf on that frame. Like, she's one of those, you literally just look at it and go, why should I even play this Warframe now? Right? Like, why should I play the frame that came from this fucking place, this place right here, super roto swell chick who has like basically no base survivability whatsoever, but she had the ability to nuke entire sections of a tile set to basically, that was her survivability, to now you took that ability away. God be with you in your venture. We'll get into the Warframe problems in a bit. This isn't just going to be a bitch fest, okay? This really isn't. But I just want to cover what this last year has been, because I also shot this because this is literally one day away from 1 year since the new war released, which is why I'm starting at the new war, because it's been a year. So we get all this stuff, right? Like, we just get all this stuff with Veilbreaker. And then we get the Revenant Prime release. Hey, Rev Prime, buddy. Revenant Prime. And then we got a bunch of hotfixes afterward. So Veilbreaker alone went from update 32 to 32.0.8. 8 hotfixes before they were even able to drop Revenant Prime. Revenant Prime was hotfix 32.0.9. This continued all the way until the Revenant Prime hotfix 32.0.13. Okay, which that hotfix landed on October 14th. Now, since then, what have we been doing, right? Like, what the hell have we been doing? We've got the echoes of Veilbreaker. Because there can't be any other name. It just has to be an echo of it. Like, I think it's hilarious. I'm not knocking them for the naming. I just think it's hilarious. Just all of a sudden, everything's an echo of something. It's amazing. But we get the echoes of Veilbreaker. So now we got the sisters, right? We get the sisters. The sisters. And we get, the potential giant dildo hammer and a sniper rifle skin. Okay. And it just, man, I just don't even know what to say. Vanker and Sprague, I mean, it's cool that they got their little rework and all that. That's great. And the echoes of Veilbreaker. November 9th was the last update, which was 32.1.4. And again, buggy stuff, but finally, thank God, finally, the Ignis Wraith was finally stuck back in dojos. at least in the Grenier lab, but it was stuck back in dojos instead of just being this random ass thing. You know, Chipper was actually stuck in as the defensible target, and so on and so forth. And then we get to Lewis Prey, right? Lewis Prey, literally released 11/30, so November 30th. Now we're at December 14th, okay? So Lewis Prey hit, and we got the two conjunction survivals, right? Which are on Lua, obviously. We have Vivarium and we have Circulus. So we have level 25 to 30, which is what you would expect on Lua for base star chart, right? And then we have level 80 to 100, which is base star chart statistics of your enemies, but at level 80 to 100. So definitely not difficult, like arbitration level type enemies, no big deal. You know, you obviously have the Steel Path side. I still haven't done them because I just haven't felt the need. Can't be bothered, as some of my Brit friends would say it. But Lewis Prey, just the Lewis Prey updates, 32.2.4, went all the way until the 7th. And then no other updates, nothing. Like there was Varuna bugs, there was the Paragale bugs, there was Seraphang bugs, there was just all sorts of bugs. There was survival bugs. I mean, you know, there's crossplay stuff going on here, matchmaking issues going on here. It is what it is, right? Because this is also when they started dropping massive, you know, nuggets of testing on crossplay and really getting shit going with Lewis Prey and just opening up crossplay, right? And then today, December 14th of 2022, we get Baruch Prime Access, which was hotfix number 32.2.5. Cool, right? Cool. I'm down for this. I'm down for Baruch Prime existing. I'm honestly okay with the Furus or the Akimbo Furus Prime and the Colburn Crane Prime because I thought the Colburn Crane was a decent weapon, and I just honestly have fun with the Akimbo Furus, so I think it's fine. But within hours, a hotfix already appeared for Baruch. Hours, okay, hours. So we've already had one hotfix in the same day as the release of Baruch Prime. So, like, I mean, like some of the weirdest shit, you know. So we just had what I find to be an overly ambitious year of updates. Now, the new war, I think we can all say that the new war, although being overly ambitious, made sense because it was a big fucking update. It was a big deal. Right? I think that that's a pretty agreeable situation that we can all talk to. And I'm sorry if we hear my phone go off. We just have a kiddo that's supposed to be coming over soon. So anyway, so I think we can all agree that the new war was meant to be overly ambitious. You know, but we got the bad news prior to just after Veilbreaker was hitting that Duviri wasn't coming until next year. Sometime early next year is what we're expecting. You know, like they literally didn't say anything about Baruch until Lewis Prey, or until like, I think when Lewis Prey dropped or just before Lewis Prey dropped. Here's our next Prime Access. I always forget about the Christmas one. So yeah, that my comment about, I don't think another Prime's coming, aged like milk. You know, it is what it is. I'm fine with it. I always forget about that Christmas Prime release. So, but into the Warframes, right? Like, into what they've been doing with the Warframes. Like, I don't know, it's like good block, bad block. It's like that game of good block, bad block. It really is, because, you know, we started out the year with Caliban. What a hot, steaming pile of shit. I mean, can we argue the point of Caliban being kind of a half hot, steaming pile of shit? Like, we see Haro. Haro released, you know, around the time of the new war. He was the Christmas Prime release. Where's Caliban? Where's Caliban? Where's our little adaptable buddy at? There he is, number 45 in my list. Here's Caliban with the Shido. At least I put a, you know, semi-matching weapon on there. Guess what? Condemn is still on him. I don't play him. I just don't. He's just meh. And the problem is aside from his fourth ability, he's been meh the whole time. Like, he just doesn't, he's not anything amazing. I see people run him and then they're all like, you know, like everybody that I've spoken to, let's put it this way. I have not yet spoken to a Caliban main. Like I think every frame in this game has people that main him, right? Like I like Lavos, but I don't really main any one particular frame. I like to switch it around and play and be goofy, you know? I have never spoken to a Caliban main, ever. Because honestly, at least from my perspective, just from a community standpoint, Caliban was just never very good. I think Caliban was Ureli 2.0. Great idea, a great idea in theory, overall, craptacular follow through. You know, but then we go from Caliban, my God, one that's right next in the list, to Geyer. You know, and with Geyer, I mean, you know, with the Angels of Zariman, we got Geyer, we got the Alternox, we got the Aolak, we got 2 or 3 of the, I think it was 3 of the Incarnate weapons. I think it was the Latum, the Fenmore, and the Praetos, that's what it is. And then we ended up getting the Felarx and the Enidem afterward. You know, but we got Geyer, you know, Geyer, she's an interesting frame, man. She's a very, very, very interesting frame. And yeah, I picked her helmet up with Nora, you know, and we got this Alternox CC type of, you know, rifle thing. It's like, she's cool looking. Her ability function was great, but they nerfed the shit out of her so fucking quickly that it just left me not wanting to play her. It's sad because the potential of Geyer is actually very good. It really is, but I mean, what do you do, right? I left her gun with her because honestly, like, the Alternox isn't terrible, but it's not anything to write home about. You know, it's good. It's just not amazing. You know, I mean, what do you say? You know, but then we go from Geyer and we go, way the fuck up here. Hold on, where's he at? Where's our boy? Where's our boy? Styanax. Bruh. Styanax, and you'll notice I took his 4th ability off because I don't like being a flying target. Styanax. I think he's a good frame. I really do. I mean, he's high enough on the list. He's number 12 on my fucking list. I actually do play Styanax. And yes, I did get his helmet from Nora. Why not? And yes, I've been running the Red Veil armor set. I like it. I don't know why. I think Styanax is good, built properly and played properly, and subsuming his 4th off, although it is hilarious fun. The moment they nerfed the ability to cast other abilities while you were in that 4th ability, it, in my opinion, made the 4th ability completely useless. Because at least you could protect yourself, because you could regen health and you could armor strip while you were in the 4th ability. You could build up, you know, overshields while you were in the 4th ability. The moment they took away ability casting from his 4th ability, made the 4th ability completely useless. Because then you're stuck in an animation that you cannot negate out of, and basically stuck in the butt. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, they just kind of went on that 4th ability as soon as they took away ability casting, which truthfully, I don't understand why they took it away, aside from they didn't want us to stay alive with Styanax while in the 4th ability. I mean, that's all I can come up with. But see, Void Shell skins, that's another thing, man. Void Shell skins, that's a big thing that came out. Big, bright Iron Man Styanax, right? But see, the helmet isn't Void Shell, so I went with this look. But Styanax, I think Styanax was a good frame. I really do. I don't think he's amazing. I think he's good. You know, we got the Grendel rework. I said that he wasn't going to be in my top 23, and after playing him for a little bit, yeah, he's number 13. He's fun. You know? And then we get Varuna. Now, she's up higher in the list than some. I'm still running the exact same setup of what I was doing when I did the video on Varuna. I really am. Same exact setup. And truthfully, like, she's one of those frames that there's so much crap wrapped up into her that I literally sit back and I question, you know, was there alcohol and maybe a little bit of drugs involved when they came to when they really pulled together everything with her? Because there is so much crap crammed into this Warframe that this is so unlike Digital Extremes to release this much stuff into one Warframe and still not pull it off quite right. That's where it really kind of fits more into the digital extremes realm, to where it's like we get her and we're like, oh, she don't work right at all. That ultimate ability ain't quite so ultimate, and it's expensive, and her energy pool sucks. And oh my god, what the hell? That's been a big thing. But it's also been a very interesting year because top developers are going to Soulframe, right? That's been a big thing. Top developers of digital extremes are staying with digital extremes, but going to a different game, building an entirely new game of Soulframe. And then we have, people being bumped up with Warframe into the main developer chairs, which we all know the names. I don't need to go through them. And I think, I don't know if this is like them using this opportunity as a proving ground per se. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Or if they've just kind of had this overly ambitious jump to really kind of look and say, hey, look what we can do, right? Look what we can do. We can do this. This has been such an intriguing year for Warframe for me. And the problem is that as much as I want to say that it's a community builder by getting crossplay going and getting, access, it's limited access, because typically once a game goes crossplay, there's more interactivity than just general gameplay, especially when you're dealing with something that is like, true, like continuity, like the dojos, right? Like trading, You get grindy games, you get the ability to trade stuff 90% of the time. So there's a few out there that don't allow for it, things like that. You have to just go purchase things from NPC vendors and so on. But for the most part, trading is a thing. And now, the general rumor mill screams that trading may not be a thing for quite a while, because we still have to wait for cross-save to even see if trading will be allowed, or if everybody just has to be on that singular platform. And the thing of it is that a lot of the console players have been looking forward to the cross-play because of trading. Not just the ability to play the game, because I've spoken as far as, like in-game chat, and God love them, man. God love console players who are literally typing stuff out, because they've got to have the little keyboard, or it's got to be a strenuous time to actually type in the little, chat. Or I'll just get somebody voice chatting with me if they've got a mic. But God love them. Man, there is so many console players that I've come across that I've chit-chatted with that said, man, PC players are so much more laid back than I thought they'd be. I thought they were just going to be a bunch of, like, for lack of a better way to put it, the general consensus was either, I can't wait to do this because I watched so many PC players and it looks great, or I was expecting a bunch of pretentious assholes. That's literally been the side-by-side comparison. And the funny thing is that a lot of people have run into a lot of PC players at this point and run into the fact that most are not a bunch of pretentious asses. But with all the bugs that have hit this year and all of the crazy stuff that has dropped this year, this Warframe right there, this is throwing beads to the natives. That's exactly what Varuna is. The ghoul saw beads to the natives last year. That's what this is. You want to wear a wolf frame? Fine, we'll give you a wolf frame. You want, the new war? Fine, we'll give you the new war. It's not going to be 100% right. We can't just wait a month or so. Like, I think they learned with the new war, which is why Duviri got pushed off. Which I'm fine with. I'm not knocking them for pushing Duviri off until next year, because obviously something wasn't clicking. If they would have done that with the new war, I think that they would have learned from that process and not had to do the echoes of war. And the Angels of Zariman wouldn't have suffered as much, because they would have at least learned their lesson of going, whoa, need to back this down, need to pull the throttle back just a little bit. So yeah, you know what? A little bit of tardiness on release, I think we could have all lived with without all the bugs. The new war bugs we kind of expected. Some of them were in quest, most of them were post-game, post-quest in-game. Zariman was a whole new ball of wax. A mess. A hot, steaming pile of shit mess that finally got fixed, and it's finally 100% playable. Really is. It's annoying because it's basically the same tile sets just rotated with like five or six different rooms basically, and that's it. but at least, you know, 2 of the 3 new mission types are pretty good, you know. Veilbreaker, personally, I find Veilbreaker, once it finally got sorted the hell out, I find Veilbreaker to be fun. Although the Archon missions themselves are annoying as fuck, the Archon fights themselves I find to be interesting, especially if you get into a public group, because it's really fun to watch people do the Archon hunts. I just personally think it's great to watch people do the Archon hunts. And then I sit back and you know, I get my shards and I start trying to figure out where all that crap's going. And I've done it every single week it's been available. And every single week that I've had the availability of buying a shard from Chipper, I have done so. So I have literally to this point, every shard available that has been available in the game is in my hands. Some have been Tau Forged, some have not, and that's fine either way. I just use them as I get them. I love the idea of Archon shards. I think it's great. I really do. I don't have a problem with it in the world. I like the ability of adding a little bit more without having to try to figure out mod capacity problems. You know, I like the new amp arcane that they introduced. I think that's a good double down on helping amp function, make the operator a little bit more playable. You know, much like with Call of Tempestari the year before, you know? I mean, Call of Tempestari was an absolute fucking disaster with the Void Storms for about, I don't know, a week. Because it was so blindingly unplayable that, like, everybody almost ran from Railjack except for the hard, heavy grinders. And then they fixed the Void Storms where they were more playable, and now it's just another relic farm. Hop into a Railjack, grab a squad, let's go, baby. Or just go solo it, man, whatever. Obviously, it's a relic crack, so you want as many people as possible, and you hope you get a competent group of people that understand how to run a ship. Even if you're jumping on somebody's ship, understand where everybody's at and what you need to be doing for the group, you know? That's kind of the thing with cooperating squads, you know, co-op gaming. You know, if somebody's piloting the ship, obviously that's not going to be the thing you're doing. So if they fly up to an ice mine, get your ass out of the ship, go into the ice mine. Or if you see somebody exit, get on the big gun, get ready to blow a cruise ship up. Do whatever looks like needs to be done. You know, that's the whole point. I love the cooperative style of this game. I still love the gameplay of this game. I love the community of this game. I even, with all the problems, they've remained positive and they continually try to fix the screw ups. I have no problems with Digital Extremes whatsoever. I really don't. I think they're trying to really make leaps and bounds jumps without any realistic testing system. Okay? But they're making these giant leap updates with no realistic testing system. Like, they've got, you know, groups, small groups of people that are doing stuff, but truthfully, find your old school players grouped with higher level, higher mastery level, newer players of an open beta. You know, and really get some people to just tax the shit out of the game and the new frames. I mean, a closed group that are, you know, you can't talk about what the fuck you're doing, but come in here and come break my game and let's figure out what we got to fix before we release this shit. If there was a much more really challenging beta test system involved in this game, aside from just a few content creators, and that's no knock towards content creators because they're just doing what they're doing, you know, and that's, I just think, you know, like they you know, Digital Extremes has said that they don't, you know, it's not a realistic thing for them to have like open betas. It's just not. And, you know, maybe that's the case. But I think if they're going to continue into years to come at the pace they're going right now, they've got it. Something's got to give somewhere. They either need to back down the level of insanity that they're throwing into their updates so it's a much more controlled environment that they're working with, or if they're going to remain overly ambitious with each one of these updates, then they have got to find a way to find a better testing system so they're not just running people off of the game. Because I've got people that a year ago were absolute hardcore grinders of this game, have been playing this game for 5 fucking years and swore by this motherfucker, that now tell me they will never pick up, you know, they will never open this game again. They've uninstalled the game because they're sick and tired of just how much worse it seems to get. And again, I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't want to see this game collapse. I want to see this game succeed. I'm watching content creators that have been around for years for Warframe just suddenly delete all their Warframe videos. just disappear off the face of the earth in regards to being a content creator for Warframe and for Digital Extremes. Some burn out, some are just sick and tired of it. Because especially as a content creator for Digital Extremes, they're asked, hey, what do you think of this? They give feedback. Half of it's listened to. It's interesting. You know, it's an interesting scenario. I think that giving beads to the natives isn't necessarily the way to go. Let the natives play the game as it comes to them. Stop feeding them into their frenzy. Frames like Varuna are fine. But Varuna should have been something that was on the terms of Warframe, on the terms of the developers of Warframe. Not just this screaming bunch of people, Warframe, 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 we want Warframe. We all saw how the ghoul saw worked out. That was people stomping their feet. Oh, ghouls can use this giant concrete saw? I want that. It's a piece of trash, okay? It's a piece of trash. Come on, man. You know? Some of the best things in this game have come from people not stomping their feet. From the developers saying, we're going to do this our way. And I think if the developers would just stick with that mentality rather than throwing beads at the natives. And just surprise us with stuff and just say, here we go. But also look at the buffs and nerfs that they've done to the game and apply the game properly. Because, like, they have destroyed the function of some frames with the Eximus rework in March. That was a big fuck problem, man. Echoes of Zeraman. Echoes of Zeraman. My fucking god. The Eximus rework, I can't remember if it was the Angels of Zeraman or the Echoes of Zeraman when that dropped, but either way, in March of this year when they did the Eximus rework, holy Jesus Christ. The Focus School rework was great. The Eximus rework is screen chatter from hell. Like, it's just colorful flashes of holy Jesus Christ. Yes, you can definitely see what the fuck is hitting you now, but you can also see a lot of something's hitting you now, which is, I think, even more blinding. I'm okay with it because I don't go into level cap, but I've watched some people doing their level cap videos. You can't see shit unless you turn down the graphics on the fucking game and turn down, you know, just tone that shit down just so you can actually see what the hell you're doing. It's crazy talk. But the overguard situation coupled with survivability of frames. I'll use Limbo as a perfect example. Limbo's kit as a whole is basically trash. Thanks to the Eximus rework. Because not only do the Eximus now cast abilities instead of just passively have abilities, or passively use functional abilities naturally, now they cast abilities within proximity of your frame. They notice your frame, they start casting things at you. That's why invisibility is beautiful, or something like silence is beautiful, because if they can't hear you, they don't try to cast it at you. Proximity is still a problem even using silence because they sense you, but that's neither here nor there. So like bioelectric Eximus, venomous Eximus, things like that, you know, those are the ones that are proximity based. But the line of sight ones are excellent, or by hearing, excellent, because like parasitic Eximus, leech Eximus, things like that, they just don't even attempt to touch you. Because they can't see or hear you, whatever, it's great. I don't have a problem with the Eximus rework, but the way the overguard system works in regards to the survivability of certain frames is a huge problem. You know, because some frames already had survivability problems to begin with, so you had to basically go full gunplay and just pray like fuck you didn't die with him. Or once Helmuth was introduced, thank fuck to that. That was one of the few things I will say. Helmuth is one of the few beads to the natives. It really wasn't a bead. That was more like a boulder. Here, you know what? We're going to give you the ability to take one thing off of a kit that just don't work for you and put whatever the fuck you want to of our choosing from another frame onto here and see if it works better for you. I'm okay with that. That's a boulder to a native. That's like, here, we built you a house, use it. That's fine. That's appeasing the masses in a good way. Instead of reworking frame after frame after frame, give somebody the opportunity to use something from another frame and see if it works better to make the frame more playable for them. It gives much more customization. I like that. That's good. Archon shards. I like that. That's good. Customization. Didn't hear anybody bitching about, hey, I need a bunch of crystals I can shove in my ass and my back and, you know, make my Warframe better. Poof, here we are. But man, that Xmas rework really kind of did a number on some frames. And then, I mean, just my God, there's just been so many things that have just like hurt my head this year about that I have not seen in the 2.5 years, almost 3 years I've been playing this game now. 2022, late 2021 into the encompassing up to December 14th of 2022 has been such an odd mamma jamma. I gotta tell you. Has it been fun? Oh yeah. Absolutely. Do I still enjoy Warframe? I play it daily. Unless I'm not in town at my computer, I play this game daily. Because I enjoy the content that much. I enjoy the gameplay that much. But do I think that if they're going to continually progress in the directions that they're going, that they have got to find a way to fix what's going on with their updates and how they're working frames and so on and so forth? Yeah, because if they just keep pumping frames out at everybody the way they're doing right now, and either nerfing the bejesus out of them as soon as they were, within a week of release, or buffing them out of nowhere because there's obvious bugs when the frame comes out. I mean, like, I get, like, Protea. Protea was my first frame that I got to see release. Everything else is in game at that point, right? Up to Protea. Protea was my first one, and I saw the uproar for like 20 days or so, 20 or 30 days about Protea's function, and I wasn't even able to farm her when she come out. Like, I did the frame, but I didn't have anything capable of handling running the Granum Void like that. Or so I thought. I didn't understand the mechanics of the game, we'll put it that way. I didn't have a good enough understanding of the game at the point in time when Deadlock Protocol hit to understand how to farm Protea. Because if I would have had Protea when I did the Deadlock Protocol and then I just went and farmed the shit out of her in the Granum Void, holy God. This game probably would have been a very different monster for me, a very different understanding of the game earlier in the game for me. But that's a me thing, right? That's totally me thing. So. But I watched the buffs of Protea. She came out, she was buggy, things didn't work quite right, they just didn't work good. And the developers listened to the feedback and they went, okay, well, let's try this, and kind of pickle raced a couple of things, but they worked. You know, Zaku came out, he had a couple of bugs. Lavos came out, he had a couple of bugs. But I mean, there's just been stuff. It's like, by the time we got to Caliban, really more like Sevagoth, I will say that. When we got to Sevagoth, it seems like the give a damn kind of went out the window. Because Sevagoth is just such an interesting frame. There's so much potential to Sevagoth, and his biggest enemy is energy. His energy pool is so bad. I mean, like, thank God for Archon Shards for any Sevagoth mains out there, because now you actually have the ability to truly maintain energy with both functions of Sevagoth and not run out of energy constantly and get yourself killed, or just fight like hell to, use energy pizzas and so on, always popping into your operator and running Zeneric all the time. I mean, that's something I see with a lot of Sevagoth mains. And surprisingly, people still play the shit out of Sevagoth. I mean, I've seen way less Sevagoth mains in more recent times, but man, Sevagoth mains were definitely a thing for a period of time. But I think the biggest hit, aside from the Xmas rework and all the bugs and the weird nerfs and the weird buffs and everything else that have hit, I think the biggest thing that was just massive community upheaval that has run off a shit ton of players is the ammo nerf. It's the ammo nerf. And I'm going to say it again. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with limiting the overpowering capabilities of weapon to balance the scales a little bit. Okay, I don't. I think the Kuva Brahma, as fun as that fucking weapon was, and y'all saw me run that thing, just fly through a map and just carpet bomb the shit out of a map and never run out of ammo and blah, 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 blah. It's a good time. That doesn't make it a challenge. Kuva Brahma's just an OP motherfucker, and it's still OP, but now it's more problematic to keep ammo in it, and it's almost a useless weapon. It's still usable, but it's much more difficult to keep ammo with it. Frame like Protea or like Lavos are your best bet if you really, really, really want to make sure you've got plenty of ammo laying around. Um, you know, so, but the ammo nerf that was targeted towards automated style gameplay and overpowered gameplay and bright, brilliant, you know, everybody's being blinded styles of gameplay, you know, tip the scales a little bit more towards single target weapons and equalize the weapons out a little bit. So everything wasn't so AoE. Now, granted, the game is built around AoE to a point, so I don't necessarily understand that line of thinking, but I do understand balancing, right? But what set so many people off, and you know, you learn to work around it. You change your builds a little bit, which is what I've done, and I haven't had a problem since. But you work around the game, and so many people lost their fucking minds. Like, I got pissed when the ammo nerf first hit, and I saw both of the merciless, the primary and the secondary merciless arcanes, no longer had an ammo increase, because that was really the main reason for getting a rank 5 primary merciless or a rank 5 secondary merciless, was just to simply have that superb extra ammo. What got punished wasn't just AoE. It was every weapon that was in a system of use for those two arcanes. So single target weapons and AoEs alike got just punched in the fucking mouth and told, get fucked. That's exactly what happened to those weapons. And people got really mad about it. I mean, like, the Steam ratings went bonkers. The Epic Games rating went bonkers. The forums went fucking nuts. People got mad because their comments were being deleted out of the forums because, like, either they were just generally being rude or their comments just got inexplicably deleted because they were being critical of an update. It was an interesting choice to go after the merciless arcanes. I will say that. I will definitely say that. That's the only part of the ammo nerf that I personally think was dumb. I think the rest of it's fine. I really do. I think it does balance the scales a little bit. You can still use these weapons. You know, you really can. You absolutely can. Monster still runs as Envoy. I still see people running the Brahma and the Tonkor and the Ogress. You just have to build them just a touch differently to work on being able to pick up as much ammo and mutate as much ammo as humanly possible, or in the case of these things, robotically possible, or androidically possible, whatever they are. I don't even know what these fucks are anymore. Biomechanically. Pick up and mutate as much ammo as you can, as much as you biomechanically can, blah, blah, blah. The ammo nerf really, really, really set the community off. And I mean to tell you, it's a really intriguing situation to be in when you start seeing YouTubers and Twitch streamers literally stop doing all Warframe content and delete their videos after that nerf hit. There were some that were falling off prior to, some that were burning out, and then some that were daily streamers that were, you know, 2 or 3 times a week posting videos. Gone. Just poof. Inexplicably. Say nothing. Just poof. No more Warframe. Not playing this game ever again. And this was their bread and butter. And it doesn't surprise me, because of the actions that followed after the ammo nerf was like, you'll get over it. That's literally how it was played out. I think it wasn't handled as properly as it could have been. It was just kind of whitewashed over and just kind of glossed over, and just nobody really at Digital Extremes seemed to really give 2 shits about what the community thought about just how much of a dramatic hit it really applied. Like, the only part that they actually reverted was when they went after the battery weapon ammo nerf as well, being like the Bubonico, Tenet Cycron, Basmu, things like that, you know, the battery weapons in the game. And when they went after those, it made those weapons so goddamn unplayable that the forums blew the fuck up in a 12-hour time frame so bad that there was, like, at one point I think I saw 64 pages in like the first 8 hours after the ammo nerf hit. It was insane. That shit was it was in the first hotfix of Echoes of which one was it? Well, that wasn't what I was trying to do. I'm looking at fucking just moving my shit all over the place. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Which update was that? October, I think. It would have been Veilbreaker. Veilbreaker or Echoes of Veilbreaker. I think it was Veilbreaker that it dropped, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was rugged, man. People went ape shit. I got irritated about the Merciless Arcanes. Aside from that, I think it was dumb that they went after the battery weapons and that they're still talking about the battery weapons. I think it's dumb that they're talking about reapplying self-damage next year. I really think that's not the way to go. If it is, it's going to be a whole lot of new Revenant Prime mains. Or Revenant mains out there. I mean, like, Revenant's usage is going to go through the fucking roof. Because he's the only frame that's just not going to give two shits if he takes damage from himself or anything else. He's the only frame in this game that's just not going to give a fuck. Unless you know you're about to do something really stupid and you have rolling guard and you roll and then do something dumb. Revenant is literally the only frame that's not going to give a fuck about taking health damage because it's going to hit Mesmer Skin before it hits his health. By design. So unless they bypass that design, which if they do that, oh my god, I'm going to sit back with some popcorn and I might actually go buy a 6-pack of beer. Being, you know, a recovering alcoholic for years and years now, I might go crack open a 6-pack and grab some popcorn and just watch that shit unfold if they fuck with Revenant and apply self-damage, because good god, that'll be insane. Yeah. That'd be a good time, man. Be watching like a bar fight break out in a parking lot. It's awesome. No, I don't think self-damage is a good idea. If they do it, we'll work around it as always. I don't think going after the Merciless Arcanes was a good idea. They still haven't reverted that, so it is what it is. We've worked around it. Found ways to make things work. Adapt and overcome with buffs and nerfs. That's what you're supposed to do with games like this. Some people want without giving. Right? Sometimes you got to give shit up for the stuff that you really want in the end. Sometimes you have to give up shit you don't want to give up, that you're absolutely hung up on, to learn a new way. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how games work, man. That's how these types of games work. And at the end of the day, Digital Extremes is going to do what they're going to do. Warframe is going to develop as it's developed, and it's going to grow as it's going to grow. And it may kill itself along the way and become nothing. I hope that's not the case. I hope this game runs another 10 damn years. I really do. I think it's a very interesting game. I hope that they don't flame out with it. I really do. Because at the end of the day, there's so much potential for continuing growth with this game. It's just a matter of the follow-through and the community being willing to stick with it. You know? Either bring in new and hang on to them, or hang on to your present community and handle the trickle of new. But either way, that's the rub that they've got to work out while growing the game in the middle of all of it. But that's been my particular overview of Warframe across a year. So, this being when this posts, December 29th, unless I post it early, so if I do, this is going to sound really stupid. Or if I post it late, even better. This is meant to post on December 29th, so all I can say is I hope you had a hell of a good Christmas. And I hope you have a very happy and safe New Year, okay? And as always, I'm Goat, this is Warframe. I want to thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one, alright?